The views and opinions expressed in these historical letters that may contain vernacular used in the World War II era, the post-war era, and the Cold War era do not reflect the views and opinions of any of the individuals involved with this project, including, but not limited to, the podcast's creators. Morning, Jamie.
Good morning, Allison.
How are you doing this morning?
Yeah, it's morning time. I'm awake. You're awake.
You know what? Things are human. Let's just talk to the audience about this for a moment. Computer connection issues can sometimes disrupt podcast recordings. And that's happened on my side. It's happened on Jamie's side. A lot of the edits have gone around this, so our audience hasn't really seen it. But hey, we're human, and computers are computers. And there's this great quote from Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, if you're a Harry Potter fan, book 5. And there's basically a part where she says, you don't trust something if you don't know where it keeps its brain. And I'm never quite sure where a computer's brain is, whether it's in some network somewhere floating around, but I'm always just tolerant of whatever happens because at this point, who knows what's going on with technology, right? All we know is we listen to authentic, real letters on the Love Sweetie podcast, not generated by the things that are coming in the future, all the AI.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yes, that is a lovely assessment of what we've been dealing with for the past half an hour here in my house. Yes. So this is a great episode today. I'm excited because Allison actually called this one of Sweetie's mega letters. And I think that is absolutely fitting. I think I've showed you guys this before. This is the book that I get with all the letters in it. And so when Sweetie writes and it spans pages, yeah, that's a mega letter. So I am excited, especially because the letter that she wrote last week was to Jeanne.
Yep.
And so we kind of left off on this, and then she made mention of the family letter she was going to write. And so we're going to hear that today.
Oh, yeah. That is such a mega letter to our audience. Hey, it's broken into 5 parts. It is that long. She does have, we assume, Dit's typewriter. I don't know if Dit's ever going to get this typewriter back. We'll see. But then afterwards, we have 2 shorter letters as we head into December of 1949. So just a couple basic housekeeping items. If you're watching on YouTube, please like, share, and subscribe to the Love Sweetie podcast. Leave comments, on the videos. We'd love to find out, how you find the videos, and also, what are you doing when you're listening to the Love Sweetie podcast? That's really interesting to us. Are you drinking your coffee? We didn't mention it. We are both drinking coffee right now. Jamie's amended her Trader's ways of drinking tea the other week, a couple episodes ago.
Wow. Trader's ways. Oh, man. I can't wait for the next time that you drink tea.
And then, of course, if you're listening on our audio channels, welcome to all our newer audio listeners. If you could please click whatever button's relevant, the subscribe, the download, the follow, whatever it is on the platform you're listening on, leave a review if you have the time to do so. We greatly appreciate that. But without further ado, Jamie, I think we're going to go ahead and jump into the first part of this mega letter. Hey guys, it's after Thanksgiving 1949, which means Christmas is on its way. County Line Road, Hatboro, Pennsylvania, November 28th, 1949. My dear family, I've waited too long again, which means this letter will be long and drawn out, if I'm to get my money's worth out of this guy so loosely termed the mailman. And where shall I start to bring you up to date? Thank you kindly for the birthday remembrances. I guess like Jeanne, I haven't outgrown the idea of celebrating birthdays. She sent me, along with the folks, a Blue Waves dress, and more lately, cake pans and underwear, plus cookie cutters for Louis. My child is giving me much trouble, hence the errors. I felt somewhat neglected since Lou worked on my birthday, and having no family nearby to celebrate with me, we waited until Sunday night and went to call on Joe and Olive Rusky and their little M. They'd been here to see us and were wondering why we hadn't come to see them. Since it seemed a little silly to bake a cake for myself and decorate it, I just baked a plain cake and took it with us to Rusky's so that I could at least share it with somebody from cow country, as Joe and Lou say. We made much, in a small way, of Louis's 4th birthday, with candles and all, and now he is wearing the corduroy pants for dress and is very dressed up in them. I believe I told you that the red coat and the fur coat came the same day, and the little dogs that came with the coat are a source of much pleasure to Louis. He takes them with him to bed every night, and often wakes up in the night and scratches around for them. I often pick them out of the bed, and when he can't find them, berates me soundly for taking his dogs out of bed and letting them catch cold on the dresser. He has had a cold. We untied the ribbon on the sulfa bottle early and waylaid it early. Now he has only a sniffy nose and nose drops at bedtime that he takes as a matter of course now, ensures a good night's sleep. But those 2 dogs have to have their nose drops too. At first it was only make-believe with me doing the sniffing for them, but now there has to be a little drop of nose drops left in the dropper to glisten on the doggie's nose before he is satisfied. I often wonder to myself what I'd ever do without him now, being here alone as we are. He is such company and enjoyment. All right, I want to pause here, actually. So I wasn't going to pause this early in this letter, but there were a couple things brought up before we head into another aspect of this letter. One is the Ruskys. So we have Joe and Olive Rusky, and Joe was Lou's best man at the wedding. He was out there in Ottumwa, Iowa, and Olive is from Ottumwa. So there's this parallel story going on between Joe and Olive and their little son. So that's a nice connection for her to have. And then she mentions the birthday around Thanksgiving. But I wanted to mention this because just recently I was reminded that we have something, and she mentions these little dogs. And I'm not sure if this is one of those little dogs or another little dog that Louis had. We do know that this is one of little Louis's stuffed dogs from the time period, and it very well might be the one that got the nose drops. I'm not sure, but it's an older one.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine a child would have this past about age 4 or 5. This looks about right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm showing it on the screen here, audio listeners. This will be in the items section of the photo gallery, so you'll be able to see it here. But this has survived, and this very well might be the dog being referred to in the story. And I had forgotten that this section of this letter came up, and I was like, you know what? Let me show this little dog. He's quite large, actually.
That is so adorable that you have, and I'm sure that's one of them because he's had other little dogs before.
Right.
But that one, I know the breed. Like, I want to help the audio listeners out here. It's like got that pronounced nose. What is that called? This is going to bug me. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to look at it, and then I'm probably going to go when the YouTube video comes out, and I like to comment on some YouTube videos. So I might be there in the comments looking for the breed of this dog, but that is so sweet. I can't believe it. Lasted all these years.
Now, it does have a tag on it. The manufacturer on this, it's from the Knickerbocker Toy Company, Inc. in New York, which, of course, could have been, distributed throughout the country.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's got an old trademark on it on the other side. Animals of Distinction. It was made in the United States, of course. So, old dog.
And that was the one that Laura sent for him. So it was made in New York, went out to Iowa, and then she sent it back to the Philadelphia area. Aw. Mm-hmm. Such a journey. So. That's really sweet.
Christmas looms up now as the highlight, and he is so anxious and excited about it for the first time. Last year, when Daddy was gone, we didn't make so much of it, and before that he didn't understand much. But this year, he is just one big question after another. Lou had last Monday off, and we took him into the city to see Santa Claus at Gimbels. Heretofore, he has been somewhat silly when asked his name or how old he is, not because he was shy exactly, but rather being funny when asked. We told him that Santa would ask his name to know where to deliver the toys, and ask his age to know what kind of toys to bring him, and that if he started being silly, Santa wouldn't know where or what to bring, so he had been coached until he spoke up with volume and decision. He decided what he wanted all by himself, and we explained that so many little boys and girls needed lots of toys, and they had to be spread around a long way to take care of them all, so that most children just got a few things. Well, Gimbel brothers go all out for Christmas, arranging aisles and ramps for the kids to sort of relieve the restlessness of standing in line to see Santa. Their displays were rigged on a sort of turntable, and the characters depicted the storybook characters, so there was a constant parade for their interest. He had seen pictures of Santa, but wasn't entirely prepared for the whiskers and vast red stomach, but didn't hesitate, remembering his warning to speak up now. He greeted Santa Claus with, "Don't you know what I want?" Santa, who was exceptionally well fitted for the part, with honest-to-goodness avoirdupois instead of pillow padding, said, "No, I don't know what you want. You'll have to tell me." He picked Louis up and sat him on his knee, and Louis looked at the vast expanse of stomach, stroked the fur trim on the suit, and said, "I want one of those things called, you know, one of those things that picks dirt up over here and takes it over here and dumps the dirt out." With gestures, he picked up imaginary dirt and carried it over and dumped it out, all the time. Trying to think of the name. Santa caught on and helped him out by saying, "Oh, yes, you mean a steam shovel." And Louis agreed. That was what he had definitely decided on, and the rest of the things were somewhat vague and passing fancies, but he had steadfastly declared he wanted a steam shovel. Santa tried to encourage him, asked, "How about a doll? Would you play with a doll?" Louis kind of grinned and said, Yes, I could use a doll." And then Santa said, "What about a ball? Do you play ball?" Louis said, "Well, I could play ball if I had 2 children." Everybody laughed, and Santa did too, saying, "You could play ball if you had 2 children, but you can't play alone. Well, you be a good boy, and look under your Christmas tree." He was perfectly satisfied and walked off to find us in the crowd. I was sure proud of him. He looked so cute in his dark blue corduroys and the blue sweater I knitted for him. But he sure gave me heck, because Santa asked neither his name or his age. Well, he'll get his steam shovel, but we're going to go pretty light on the toys, as he has so many now, though this year he has shown the most interest and will probably expect more. I hope that the whole family will go easy on Christmas this year. I don't think any of you are any too anxious to go into it very heavily, and we can't. I hate it too, but there's no choice. We'll just have to go at it as best we can. But that just can't be much.
Well, that is the reality of the situation.
Yep.
We remember in this time the war had ended. They were having problems with jobs and inflation at that time as well. Sweetie and Lou just bought a house.
Yep.
Car is not doing very well. We've heard in her last letter. So of course, this is going to be a little bit of a slimmer year, and then this is normal.
Yeah, definitely. And then we get this magical moment. Louis meets Santa Claus for the first time. And it's just as perfect as I think we've seen in the movies, the old movies of Christmas at places like Gimbels or Macy's, and the kid goes up and just can't take in what he's seeing, forgets everything that they've practiced. But of course, then Louis comes back at the end, he's like, he didn't ask my name and all this other stuff that they'd rehearsed. But he's too in wonder, right, with the whole scene. And he's really excited for the steam shovel that he wants, which was a really big toy for him because we know what his favorite book was. And we know this because my dad still remembers this book. And the book was published in 1939. It is still in print. So if anybody's looking for a book for young children, this is a famous, famous book that you can still get today. It's called Mike Mulligan and His Steam Shovel. And that was a famous book. The author was Virginia Lee Burton. This is interesting. According to Wikipedia, based on a 2007 online poll, the National Education Association listed that book as one of teachers' top 100 books for children, all the way back from 1939. So that's why he wanted a steam shovel. Clearly, he had a copy of the book. We know Sweetie reads to him.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to check out that book today and you're looking for something nice for kids around that age range, 3-4 years old, the steam shovel never goes out of style. So,
Oh, no.
no.
No. But I do really love, too, that she gave us such a rundown of the dialogue.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That's perfect. Instead of saying, oh, we went, she could have just been like, we went to see Santa and he asked for a steam shovel. No, Sweetie's like, no, I'm going to let you guys know. And that is part of the reason why this is a mega letter.
Lou had the duty on Thanksgiving Day. Marguerite and Joe didn't come from New York as Marguerite had to work the next day, so there was no family dinner. I didn't think we could afford a turkey or do it justice, so I had Swiss steak and added a few things like hot muffins, cranberry jelly, canned, and a pineapple upside-down cake, all at noon as Lou had the duty and wasn't home. I think Marguerite and Joe may be here this weekend, though I'm not sure. Joe opened in a play running for a week at Newark, New Jersey, and tomorrow night he appears in a television play in New York. We do not have television, and do not know anyone close by who has it either, so guess we'll have to miss it, though I wish we could see it. I spoke with Marguerite about Louis needing a new snowsuit, and she said there was a bargain table set up for the employees, where good merchandise was put on sale for them. I asked her to keep her eye open for a snowsuit for Louis, and she sent him a tan and brown snowsuit that is really fine, and I'm surely grateful for it. It is a two-piecer with bib pants and suspenders with zip, cuffs at the ankles. By pulling the suspenders real short and blousing the legs a little, it works fine, and the jacket is good too, so we'll get 2 years out of it easily, I think. He is real proud of it, and the first time I tried it on, I nearly laughed in his face. The hoisted pants gives him a fat behind appearance, and the jacket sort of bulky makes him look about 8 instead of 4, and he is just real proud. I was quite surprised to have him come to me from his play and announce, "Do you know what I'm going to be when I grow big?" And I said, "No. What are you going to be?" "An engineer." I was quite surprised and pleased, and asked, "Is that so? What kind of an engineer?" He thought a minute or two, and said, "I'm going to be 2 kinds. I'm going to be the kind that takes a train to Chicago to see Susie and F, and I'm going to be the kind that builds and makes things." I figured it to be a flight of fancy, but he has said it repeatedly since then, so perhaps it will eventually become a reality. I thought that would probably please Grandpa, as I was pleased myself. I've got to stop now and go get lunch for Lou. Besides, Louis is begging for his turn to write letters, and so I'll go get lunch while he writes a little, and then I'll come back and write something to each of you to try and make up for sending an impersonal letter to answer your several personal ones.
Mm-hmm.
That's sweet. Louis wanted to be an engineer so he could visit his cousins.
Yeah, it's so cute. He's like, I need to be an engineer so I can run the train. And then the train gets to Iowa. So, oh man, everything about that's adorable. And then we get the little recap of Thanksgiving, just kind of at home. It sounds pretty good. It sounds like she had a nice little Thanksgiving there. She was baking. And we get these little notes about Marguerite and Joe. We are going to get some more information really soon about Marguerite and Joe. She mentioned she doesn't have a television. If you're waiting for the storyline when Sweetie and Lou get a television, it's coming up in season 2. So we're going to have all that content. Eventually, we're going to start hearing more about what Joe is up to. But Marguerite's able to get the snowsuit because she's working in a department store. I think she was working at Macy's in New York. She may be. That was one of the main ones, obviously, has been for some time in New York. But at any rate, so she's got the employee sales table and sends the snowsuit, which if we remember the photo of the snowsuit with Louis from Norwood, yeah. This is a major upgrade, and of course, he's super proud of it. So.
Well, and that's too, I can totally understand, and most mothers can. It's like they outgrow those things, and you only wear it for a short time. And so I'm really glad she was able to get a deal because, yes, this is the constant battle with a growing boy having to find stuff because they want to go outside. He wanted to be outside, and now they have this new yard, and it's all plowed up. I'm sure he's been playing in the dirt. What a wonderful thing for him. But I'm really glad, yes, she was able to get a snowsuit for him and also learn about his aspirations. So
Yeah.
I think everybody who's listening would like to know, did he become an engineer?
I'm just going to say in some way he did.
In some ways he
always
did.
tinkered with things. Always, and he's built things.
Mhm.
He learned a lot from his dad. I mean, his dad's a mechanic. Speaking of his dad, it said Lou had the duty. So for any of our newer listeners, Lou's over at Naval Air Station, Willow Grove. He's an aviation machinist mate. So whenever we get a phrase like Lou had the duty, it's because he's at work at the naval base right nearby. So if anybody was wondering and you're new, hey, if you've been around, you've heard all the stories of Lou in the Navy, but this is a big portion of the Willow Grove area's history. But moving into the third section of her letter here, now she said she has to go and address all of her siblings with some of the individual letters that she's written. And I love that we broke where we did at that section, because she said, hey, I have to go get Lewis some lunch. Let me pause here. So we paused too. But now we're going to resume when she sits down after lunch.
I've succeeded in getting the typewriter away from Lewis, and shall try to write a little more personal note to each of you. Mama and Daddy, I especially liked the birthday card from you, and do thank you for it. I didn't tell you that the box of flowers came in fine condition, and we've set them out. You asked me for a diagram of the place and layout that I'll try to get done for you. I'm through planting now until I get a chance to see these in bloom. I think that some of the iris we got at G-Mom Graham's had borers, and I doubt that they'll all bloom, and I doubt if they are very vivid ones anyway. And like you, I'd like to cultivate the unusual. And if these are plain or pale ones, I don't intend that they shall have what little room I have to offer them. However, I thought they were worth a chance, and gave them space. Now I'm going to see what Henry's are, and I expect to do some sorting, and a lot of replanting next year to get a better layout and arrangement. I have a plan for a flower garden that will no doubt take me some time to complete, perhaps a year or two, or longer. But I'm confident it will be very beautiful once it is done. I shall not go into it now, but if I can find time to get the layout drawn, I'll try to describe it to you, and you'll have to pass it on to anyone else who may be interested in it. I am planning a fairly good-sized garden this spring. The man behind us who disked the lot is going to plow it for us, and I wonder if I'm not making a mistake in not having it fall plowed. I've enjoyed the canned fruit you sent us. 1 can of peas was spoiled, and 1 can of peach preserves in a non-regulation jar and lid were spoiled. The rest are good, and we've really enjoyed them. However, my champagne appetite is longing and yearning for a deep freeze to take care of next year's garden truck, and each time I think of the garden, I think in terms of the deep freeze. There is no locker around where we could rent a locker either, and I found out that the farmers nearby are buying deep freezers too. I don't care for commercially canned things either, except canned corn and baked beans. I think of Frank getting a good buy on theirs and wish I could be as lucky. I wonder if I could look up a railroad salvage and find one. Mama, you asked about the little dogs. Lewis has truly gotten much enjoyment from the dogs, and yet I feel some other enjoyment would come by another child. Papa, you wrote to Kathryn and Paul about getting a book for you about Washington, didn't you? It is possible that you found it during your trips through Chicago's bookstores, but if not, and you still want it, I'd be glad to look at Leary's bookstore for it, if you'll write me the name and author. We do not go downtown often, but if you want it, I'll be glad to look for you. You wrote about doing all the digging for the barn, and I wished I were there to scold you for doing too much by yourself. I can picture the location of the new garage pretty well, but wish I could see it and perhaps help you. Though I know I don't hold my mouth the right way to help you push the wheelbarrow. I couldn't help but snicker at the way you chided Frank in this last letter, and could feel some of the nip of that old Demaree sarcasm, and winced myself. Yuck, yuck. I'm curious to know where the letter about the workbasket modern handcraft came from. You put it in with the box of flowers. I'd like very much to subscribe to it, but feel that my sewing on hand should be enough without adding to my growing batch of mending and darning. Just the same, I'd like to know where they got my name. I do not think that Mrs. Corton could get as good a furniture as that at any lower price, and feel you should hold to the $60 price at least. I still have the records of what I still owe Papa, but won't take that up right now, as I'd have to figure. I want to get this done first. Do not sell it to a second-hand man, for I know he wouldn't give you what the stuff is worth. I'm reviewing some letters to answer your questions. You asked what we paid for our plants. We did not pay for anything except what we ordered from Henry Field, and those were out of his catalog. Only we did not pay any postage. I would like to know what you consider the best garden plants to buy, if you can take time to make out a list. I wrote to Washington for a listing of their publications, and will soon get a bunch of them to further my inexperienced gardening.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very glad we can take a break here.
Yeah.
Because that is a lot of information.
Yep.
First, she talked about her birthday. Oh, and then we talked about the plants. And
Mhm.
I had said, I believe it was either last week or the week prior, that Chester is living in a different zone, a different
Mhm.
gardening zone than her. And I
Yep.
thought that it was way different. Chester and Laura live what would be gardening zone 5.
Okay.
And Sweetie actually lived in, like, that part is 7.
Mhm.
So that's like a little bit of a it's a warmer climb. You got the ocean there. So
Mhm.
I was mistaken. He actually was giving her incredible advice, and the
Mhm.
time of year that she was planting all these irises, because her and Lou put a whole bunch of those flowers out.
Yep.
At that time, yes, this is the perfect time for her to be putting irises out.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was something new that I learned.
Mhm.
And then we see too, like, deep freeze. She's looking for a deep freezer
Mhm.
to preserve gardening stuff, because we know that Laura cans.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
And
Mhm.
I'll tell you, as a gardener, I
Mhm.
really do not like canning that much food. It's shelf stable. There's definitely a
Mhm.
pro to it, or there's definitely a benefit to canning, but I
Yeah.
prefer to freeze as well. So
Mhm.
this is actually where this probably started.
Probably.
Freezer were becoming more of a way to
Mhm.
preserve. And she's right. I don't like canned food either. I prefer it frozen. What I really love is that in last
Mhm.
week's episode, we got a Chester letter.
Yep.
So
Mhm.
she references this. This is one of my favorite things when we
Mhm.
can draw these connections. She references
Yep.
his Demaree sarcasm, and I went back and read, and he was kind of giving it to Frank.
Yeah, he was given some attitude. There was definitely some dude in that letter. Yeah. But we also know Chester's, not exactly doing the best he could have. If you missed last week's episode, it's really, really important. We learn a little bit more about the whole situation where in the fall of 1948, it's clear Chester had a heart attack. And so that's why she keeps writing, "Don't push yourself." He's like digging some sort of barn or garage. There's going to be a whole story with that. That's in the future. We'll get to that content. And he is certainly doing a lot of work. He has his farm, he's got his practice, all of the rest. Unfortunately, we also learn that Chester is abusing morphine in the previous episode. So that episode goes into some of that content. If you missed it and want that information, go back into episode 71, Determination and Cussedness. But yeah, even despite knowing all of that, of course, Sweetie is just saying, please don't push yourself. Like, it's getting cold, bitterly cold in Iowa. Poor Laura. We're gonna catch up with what's going on with Laura at the end of this episode a little bit. But yeah, she doesn't want her parents pushing it too much. Also, it seems that she still has some furniture out there that she's getting to pay off some debts. They want to sell it. So we get that little passage there. We know that some items were left behind. It's probably their old furniture sets that they'd replaced. And then she's saying, well, just move them out, but don't go through like a dealer because you're not going to get the best deal there. So I think the other name that's mentioned is probably a potential buyer who's making an offer for some of the items left out there.
I sent the package to Jeanne so early for her birthday that I was sure she'd have to save it until the 8th, and then it didn't even arrive then. But I'd be sure to remember her birthday at least. I hope the remodeling goes well. Lou sort of drools over these tools at each letter about them. I'm glad Elmer got along all right, but was very sorry to hear your little namesake got so badly bitten by their dog. Will he be badly scarred? Read not long ago where a 4-year-old boy was killed by a dog, and shuddered at the very thought. Jeanne, your stationery is very pretty, and I enjoy all your letters. I've already written a special note to Jeanne, so shall not dwell too long here, but want to say that I laughed and shuddered too, as you wrote of suffering from bug-itis, and hope that the extermination is now complete and very thorough. How come you showed the gal upstairs how to paint? Was that her idea or yours? I wish often that I could do it here, and have contemplated buying my own paints, and asking you to loan me your stencils, but worry for fear the paints are too expensive. Are they? I don't believe I really need the lace panels, though I do thank you. The neighbor of Elizabeth's gave me quite a bag full of curtains that she has had put away. I haven't really looked them over very good, but I was just about to offer you or anyone else who may be interested, if they'd like to have some. I was amazed to hear you sat so long between calls. That really surprised me, and if you decide you do not want to work at Iowa Pack, I hope you'll come here and try it. I've no idea what it would be like here either, but just the same, we could surely have a good visit. I've enjoyed hearing about your cases, and of course I'll want to hear about Iowa Pack, and hope that Mr. McMahon doesn't turn out to be a second Mr. Hughes. So do write about it. Florence. Excuse me, I'm not through with Jeanne. I think your shopping is wonderful, and envied Helen her trip to the movies with you to see Mr. Ichabod. Louis loves the movies and the comedies, but since we moved, we go to the base, where they don't often have a comedy, and he is always disappointed. Oh, say, today is your first day at Iowa Pack, and darn me if I didn't forget that too. I'm getting more and more used to the wringer washer in the kitchen, and don't mind it as much as I used to. It does wash clean, and if I'm careful, I don't slop too badly. We were glad you got the refund on the Kessel bill. And if I'd seen you, I'd have been terribly disappointed in being done out of the opportunity of telling them off for padding their bill. Let me tell you this. Our refrigerator went out on us. I'd been out and bought some meat, more than usual, and put it in the freezing compartment, and then found it wouldn't freeze. And then the repairman found the thermostat was ruined, and that money you sent just paid the bill. I'd thought I'd return it to you and let you have it, as you'd been the one who made all the arrangements and then had to make them give it up again. But I couldn't let that meat spoil, so the Sears man got it. I'm interested to know if you heard from George Hansen. I seem to have lost or thrown away the tag that came on my girdles with the name of the factory, so I wish you'd hunt and see if you have it, or else the next time you go to Yonkers to ask them for it. I loved those girdles, and I'm so sick that I tore them. I got one of the old-style rubber ones that I wore until you introduced me to this one, and it isn't nearly as good, and I want one of the other kinds so badly that if they won't make adjustments on these, I'm going to have to ask you to get me another one. Please see if you can get the name for me. You could probably do it by phone, and I've been without mine for a long time, so the sooner the better. You asked if I wanted your blue Chesterfield coat. How come? Don't you wear it at all? If you are really trying to get rid of it. Yes, I do want it. It has a lining, I think, hasn't it? I discarded my old box coat with the elbows out, and this red one Mamma sent isn't too bad, but not very warm, which leaves only my fur coat, so I'd probably get a lot of good out of it. But only if you are determined to get rid of it. Elizabeth's address is Mrs. J. Robert Brown, 1011 Bailey Road, Yeadon, Pennsylvania. That Clifford, I just don't understand him at all. Florence, I'm so sorry you broke your arm, and do hope the splint will be removed soon. The offer of curtains applies to you as well as to the others, if you're interested. As I've already said, I'm afraid Christmas is going to be pretty thin as far as we're concerned. But you could send me a nice gift for Christmas, and that would be a letter from you, enclosing some snapshots of you and the kids. I think of you often, and wish we could hear from you more often.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So yes, so she we heard about Kessel again.
Yep, they got their $7.50 back.
Yay! And she's got a new job. Oh, and so they can go see movies at the base. That's
Yep.
nice because we know
Yeah.
Lewis loves to go see the movies.
Mm-hmm.
And if you remember in a previous episode, she was upset with herself for buying that washer.
Yes, she was.
Washer. I have to be careful not to say washer like I want to. But she actually was not happy with it, so I'm glad now that she's gotten used to it. And yeah, so she's like, this is good. It gets her clothes clean as long as I'm careful. And I mean, and if you slop water on the kitchen floor, that just means that your kitchen floor gets clean.
At least it's in the kitchen and not anywhere else. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, we get this sort of domestic life view. We get the update from Jeanne. Jeanne seems to still be with Clifford. We'll see how long that holds. Clifford's been in the storyline behind the scenes for quite some time. I'm not really sure who this George Hansen is, so I'm curious if Jean's going on other dates and maybe this is like a different relationship she has. Jeanne clearly has, I think, some sort of roommate or something. She's helping another girl. That's all happening in Des Moines at the same time, but she really wants to know about this new job at Iowa Pack. So Jeanne had left her job in industrial nursing at the one location, and now she's over there as an industrial RN over at Iowa Pack, and she's hoping it's going well. I love the part where she interrupts. She's about to write to Florence. She's like, "Oh, wait, no." And the funny thing is, she'd just written a whole letter to Jeanne on the same day.
Yes.
How much, I have to wonder how many letters was Jeanne sending with no responses where she's like, oh my gosh, I have to keep going with Jeanne, and then finally we get the note to Florence. She's trying really, really hard for Florence not to drift. We're going to see this in a lot of letters where she's calling on Florence to be like, nope, 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 don't drift, because she's constantly worried that after the passing of her brother Bob, that Florence is going to basically stay with her side of the family, is kind of going to drift away from the Demarees. There had already been this little rift between the families due to the religion, and constantly we see Sweetie being like, nope, you're not allowed to drift over there. You just write me a letter. So we get those constant reminders, and she's going to keep that going.
And another thing that is interesting that I've picked up on, she constantly is talking about her girdles.
Isn't that funny?
It's funny. And
Yeah.
I would never ever wear a girdle. Like I was looking at them, I'm like, what is this? And this was a staple of a woman's wardrobe back in the day. Yeah. What in the actual, like, why would I want to do that to myself?
Right.
Like, why? Yeah. So a girdle basically just goes around your middle, correct? So that creates that nice shape, and and like it is important too, like if you're for your clothes to fit well, it looks nice. I think back then they did put a lot more emphasis on personal appearance, like growing up, clothes were tailored. Of course, when you didn't have a lot of clothes, you want to look good in all of them. Clothes were tailored. Clothes were made out of like cloth that didn't, that doesn't pill. It's like cotton, linen, like things were made to last. And so I can understand, wanting to look nice, but no, you couldn't pay me to put on a girdle.
But I mean, you think about the industry. I remember I worked at Lane Bryant a number of years ago, and one of the biggest brands that we sold at Lane Bryant was Spanx. And that's a huge, but that's basically the same thing today. I mean, it's as big as it's been. It's just going under another name. I don't know if it would sell as where if they were like Girdle X or something like that, right? They came up with a better name for the same thing. It's a huge industry,
I just realized I do actually have something that's a girdle.
There it is.
Oh,
See, but
there
it's
it
like
is.
it classifies, but they've renamed it sort of cleverly because I don't know. There's just something about the word girdle that just feels extremely dated and extremely like 1800s, like early 1900s from that generation.
Girdle sounds restrictive.
Yeah, it sounds really. But I remember we sold a ton of them. Hey, if girdles are really Spanx today, and Spanx wants to sponsor the podcast, call us. So that would be really funny.
Yeah, you're right. It is. They did remarket. It's like shapewear now.
It's shapewear,
just sounds way better than girdles. And apparently, like hers keeps ripping. So I don't. But yeah, I thought that was really funny. Like you know what? I had not even thought about that, but you're right. It's not much has changed.
Been rebranded so very, very cleverly. So whoever figured that out, I think shapewear is the category now. And then she mentions the one she had before was rubber, and I just get this idea in my head. I don't want to know. But there has to be some rubber element, rubber bands tie things together. So we know that's some production line there. Maybe one day we'll just do like an episode of like the clothing of the 1940s, especially like things like this, and just sort of see what they were wearing back then. But whatever happens, she keeps breaking them. So yeah, and she's like, Jeanne, help me out here. Hey sis, help me out. Yeah,
I need a new girdle. Yes. But so she mentioned Jeanne, and then she talked about Florence, and so now she's got the other siblings.
Sister and all, I apologize for not acknowledging Bill's birthday. I did not forget it, but had no card to wish him happy birthday, and did not get a letter written. However, I do wish him, even now at this late date, a happy birthday, and best wishes and love to our first and only brother-in-law. To date, I've done nothing about the card you wrote me on October 21st, the birthday of the United Nations. I hesitate to say too much about this, and feel your persuasive power much more effective than mine in this instance. However, if you write me about it again, I'll take my pen in hand. You know I'm sure to what I refer. We're always glad to hear about your kids, and how I do wish I could see old Lord D. Don't you have any pictures of all your kids together? Bill has enough equipment to put out some pictures for us, and like Florence, if you'd like to send me a real nice Christmas present, make it a good picture of your 4 kids. Thank you for your nice birthday card. You make me more ashamed than ever for not having sent Bill a letter at least. I know with your wastebasket cleaner and your litter wandering blonde that your time is well used, but I miss your cards and letters when they stop, though I'm inclined to take them for granted while they do come. As I've written to Papa, I'm through with my planting this fall, and will wait for blooming to cull the iris and some of the other things. Frankly, I doubt there'll be any surviving plants from my 3 dozen strawberries, for they didn't amount to much in the start, and I did a very poor job of setting them, since I did it on my own without outside advice, and my know-how was know-nothin'. I'm sorry to pass on so quickly, but a note to Frank is all I'll have time for, as I've got all my work to do yet, as well as a couple other letters to write too. So, while this is a poor reply, I hope it will merit something from you soon. Frank and Maida and kids, this is a much belated answer to your letter of October 15th, 1949, and while it will have to be a quickie, I'll at least try. Yes, there are a great many things to do at your own home, and I can readily see why you were slow about writing too. Nevertheless, this knowledge does not keep me from grieving over an empty mailbox. A week's vacation doesn't cover all the work that needs to be done around here, but Lou does enjoy the puttering, and small accomplishments he can find time for, and we are both looking forward to the spring and good weather, when we can accomplish more outside. I've come to the conclusion that I'm working so hard to keep the dust specks off the furniture that I'm hardly enjoying the house as I should, and I'm about to decide there is more to do than clean constantly. I'd like to see the trellis, and wish you'd give a better location of it. We are keeping our yard open for the most part, planting around the edges mostly, and keeping the centers open to give it a more vast look. We'll get lots of sun, but some shade from the woods in the afternoon, and I think we'll have no trouble installing a swing on an overhanging limb, and further entertainments in the afternoon shade. Glad to hear your generators are all fine, and I often mentally pat Maida on the back for having 3, where I've only 1. Though as Lewis says, if we had 2 children he could play ball, and I think the second would have many compensations. My Christmas wish from you is identical to the one I made from Florence and Sister and Bill. You know I've never seen A at all, and am feeling somewhat left out. Sister saw her when she was very small and new, and everyone else has seen her except Florence and me, and that ain't fair. You've got the camera and lots of expensive equipment, and I think it is too bad you don't put it to work. Me? All I've got is a $1.75 brownie, and Lewis dropped it and broke the case, so now I got nothing. You asked about Lou's opinion on a car. We have had several discussions. You said that you preferred a Chevy, for no other reason the Consumers Union recommended it, and Lou says he is not in favor of it for any other reason than an aversion all his own. So you're no better off than you were. He is leaning towards the new Fords more and more, but fat chance we'll have of getting a new one. I will say this, though. Our car is ready to collapse and fall in a heap. For instance, it wouldn't start, and the final results was a new set of valves. Lou did all the work himself, seating them by hand and all. He got off with it costing about $10, and we thought now we were set to go for a while and keep it, and as it is, until this Friday. Lou put some antifreeze in the radiator and started the car to circulate it when a piston blew out. The piston was broken, the rings chewed up, and so that was that. Lou bought a piston and did the work all over again and got off with another $10. But the car is hardly worth putting much more into. The front is so worn that a medium-sized expansion brake sends it into violent shimmies, and I doubt if it will ever get past the state inspection. I guess we've no choice but to get another one, and it will have to be second-hand, as we cannot afford to buy a new one. I've always felt that piano was mine, and am very disappointed that Papa would turn around and give it to you. My very first reaction was a belligerent, "No, you can't have it. It's mine." Then I get to thinking about the shipping and wonder if I'm being right in saying you can't have it. It would cost me quite a bit to ship it, but now that I've a place of my own, I'd like to have it, and yet, like you, I don't know how we'd manage it right now, but I'll loan it to you. Guess you wouldn't want it on a loan either, would you? I'll have to think about this a little more, though I guess it is a little foolish of me to take up the time. Do you really want it, or are you just lukewarm on the idea? I've got some other letters that I must write, and this is long enough now, so let me send love to all of you, and I'll stop for now. This typewriter is smoking already. Love to everybody, and happy birthday to Bill. Love Mama and Papa, and all the rest of you. Sweetie, Lou, and Louis.
I bet she was feeling it after she wrote that one.
Yeah, after that one and the one previous to Jeanne. Yeah, she's a bit wiped out of letter writing at this moment, but we get to learn a couple other interesting items here with Frank in particular and their life out in Chicago. Apparently, Sweetie had a piano back in Lacona that was really hers, and Chester is basically offering it up to Frank to go to Chicago. And as much as she'd like to have it, it's going to be a lot to ship it, and who knows if it would ever get there due to the Kessel truck or any other. She's had bad experiences with shipping heavy freight at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So it remains to be seen exactly what's going to happen with that. But may not be the best move right now, Sweetie. We find out it was Bill's birthday. That was missed, and she's catching up with sister. She really just wants photos. At this time, we are now now I can go out to the attic and I can see very clearly she got her wish many times over the years with her request for photographs. But she definitely wants to see the little baby that Frank and Maida have had, little A, and she says she hasn't seen her before.
But we also learn about the car. Oh, and this is not good because this car, they did take this to Niagara, they did take this out to Iowa, so they've had this one and it's got some miles on it.
Yeah.
I found the most interesting thing about this paragraph, though, was you have the car guys. I mean, and I'm not saying that in a derogatory manner, but guys who are like, I'm a Chevy man, I'm a Ford man,
right? Yeah.
And they're like, I'm a Ford man for no other reason than I like them Fords, and that's what Lou is. He's a Ford guy.
For sure.
He probably would have had a Mustang if he
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, they definitely like the Fords. They do. Chester had the Model A Ford, Model T, Model A. One of those models. There's a picture of it on the website, the car from the 20s. And then what they're driving right now is the Oldsmobile. They're driving the 36. Like, it doesn't seem like it's going to survive much longer. Got to figure that one out. So.
Yeah, so I thought, he's got, and so that's never a fun thing to deal with. Things just keep coming for these guys. I feel bad. But at least he is very close to work.
He is.
So it's not, if he did drive and something happened, he would be able to walk either to home or work. So that's good. Yep. But I'm curious to see. I'm hoping that they'll get a new one soon.
Yeah.
I'm hoping
we'll find out.
They'll get a new one soon, Allison.
We'll see. So
Allison's not giving it up. That's okay.
Nope, not giving that one up. Yep.
That's okay. But yes, that was one of those big mega letters. I very much enjoyed that. And you had said in the previous letter she wrote to Jeanne on the same day that she thought she might be repeating some things, and I don't think she did. You're right.
Barely. Mostly stuff about the car. And at that point she's just getting more thoughts out about what are we going to do about this car. But fast forwarding a few days here, we go into the beginning of December of 1949. Oh my gosh, here we are as we are approaching the Christmas holidays this year.
County Line Road, Hatboro, Pennsylvania, December 2nd, 1949. Dear Jeanne, I've scads of work to do. I'm very behind on my hauling, but right now, as often these days, I feel a little lonesome, and guess I'll take time out to drop you a little chit-chat, take up some of your time, and perhaps lift my own morale a little. Joe and Olive Rusky and Em are coming here tomorrow. Joe is on the reserve program that calls for his spending Saturday and Sunday, the first weekend of the month, on the base. Since he goes right past the house, Olive is coming with Em to spend the day here, and he'll pick them up again in the evening. Course, I'd like the place to be fit for dress parade. Need to wash my god-awful hair and screw it up to frizz as well as shop and take a bath. Since Lou has the duty and won't be at home at night, we'll have a good dinner at noon. I hope they'll not be here late in the evening, as I've made arrangements to go to Sunday school and church Sunday morning. Joe and Marguerite come from New York today for a long weekend. They're having a turkey Thanksgiving dinner Saturday that we won't be able to attend, of course, on account Lou has the duty and Ruskies are coming. We're going to drive down Sunday night after Lou gets off work to see Marguerite and Joe. We'll stay the night, I think, go to the commissary for some things, and perhaps try to get what few things we can for Christmas. Louis is so set on his steam shovel that we'll see about that, but few other things, I fear. I want to get it done and then stay at home. The cold city doesn't appeal to me at all, and now that we've a place of our own, us and the mortgage company, it really surprises me to see how ready I am to stay at home nights with the radio and knitting needles. Lou is studying so hard on his books, he's taken about 5 or 6 tests already, and has done well on all of them. He still has about 6 or 7 yet to take, but I'm more encouraged than ever. His marks are all good, and I try to sound confident. But it means so much to us, I keep my fingers crossed tight and say my Hail Marys a great many times through the day. This is such a gloomy day. Cold, dark, rainy, and a little snow, rather a mirror of my own attitude this day, and yet I don't want to sound morose. I'm not really, but I've lots of work to do, little desire or stamina to get it done, and as far as entertaining goes, I never do that well, even under the best of circumstances, and while Olive, like me, is so far away from her home and family, lonesome and needing entertainment, I almost begrudge her the visit when I keep wishing it were you instead. If Joe and Lou can get off for lunch at the same time, I'm going to have a nice dinner. Tomorrow is our 6th anniversary, as well as visiting day. So we're having Swiss steak, mashed potatoes and gravy, lima beans, I guess, and salad. I baked a loaf of orange nut bread last night. We'll bake a pineapple upside-down cake tonight, and do the rest in the morning, I think, if I stop this, and get up my hauling.
We get a lot of information here in the beginning of this letter, again with the Ruskies. So again, if you'd like to see a picture of Joe Rusky, you can go to Sweetie's wedding album on the website, that www.lovesweetiepodcast.com. Go to Sweetie's scrapbook, go into the albums, go to her wedding photos, and there you'll see the best man, and that's Joe Rusky. I'm still trying to figure out if I have a picture of Olive in the collection, so I'm going to have to try to find a picture where they're visiting, and then by deduction, figure out what Olive looks like. So hopefully we'll get to see that and their kid. But yeah, she seems to be making a lot of pineapple upside down cakes for these holidays.
I figure, it's good. You can get the canned pineapple, the canned cherries, and so that's a nice way to, and you don't have to, ice it. So
no,
that's good.
Yeah, and orange nut bread sounds pretty good. I'm always remembering like banana nut, but orange nut bread. That sounds good. Like, have to figure that one out.
I love when she writes about her menus when she's making food, because this sounds delicious. She's had Swiss steak. I'm not sure what that is. Is that like hamburger? Like,
yeah, kind of packed down. It's not ground meat, but it's just like your really most basic steak that you can just sort of prepare. So, and she's making that a lot.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Yep.
I'm glad that, because we had learned in a few episodes ago they weren't getting meat, and actually Laura and Chester sent them a box.
Right. Right. They don't
So
eat a lot of meat. My dad recalls this really particularly. He was just like hot dogs, hamburgers, baked beans. Like this is like the basics they stayed with for quite some time until later on. But she's getting very good at cooking this. And we don't hear her criticizing her cooking as much anymore. She used to do this all the time. Oh, I don't know if it's any good. All of this. She's like, no, I'll make this. So she's clearly got some things down. We do have some recipes we're going to be talking about in future content. Some of the recipes have survived. Some of them have been credited to Laura, to Jeanne, and some others. Mostly stuff from the 50s, which means a lot of things related to like Jello. Like it was really interesting cooking then. So at some point, maybe we'll do a cook along with Sweetie or something like that. I don't think I've come across yet her recipe for Swiss steak or like mashed potatoes, gravy, the basic stuff, or the orange nut bread.
I just thought of something. The next time we get together, we should make some of her food for dinner.
We should.
Like we'll get the stuff and we'll make a Sweetie meal. It'll be fun.
Yeah. And I do have her recipe for meatballs.
See, and I love meatballs.
Yep. She calls them meatballs a la Sweetie. She sends it to Jeanne. It's in a future letter. So everybody, if you're craving some of like Sweetie's particular food, that has survived. So she's catching up with Joe and Lou here around the same timeline. And then she's going to continue just for a little bit here with what she's up to.
Yesterday I washed. Glad of it, too, with today's murky weather. Last night I ironed while the bread baked, but got so tired had to quit and finish up this morning. That got me off to a slow start and is keeping me behind schedule. Guess I'll have to take some Dexedrine to get in gear. Say, I haven't been taking much. As evidenced by my lardy arms and legs and flabby stomach, I still have some too. But next time you buy some, I wish you'd buy for me too, and say my forehead is one big pimple after another, and I wish I had some calamine lotion. But say, I guess I could buy it almost as cheap as you can send it. What do you say? Guess I will buy it here. I've just got to get to work. As I've said 3 times before, my hair is lousy dirty. I've got to wash it. Guess I'll go wash it now and put it up and then do my work. It hardly dries. To wash it and go to bed and take it down in the morning. Boy, how I hate to do it. I just struggle to get it put up. And then when I take it down, it is very clear that I lost in the struggle. Well, I've just got to go. I love you and sure wish it were you coming tomorrow. Sweetie. P.S. I can knit a plain sweater. I'm sure all the directions I need are for the cable. I'd appreciate them soon, as you can take time to send them and copy them. Be sure to tell me how you tacked the cable on. Won't you? Love, Sweetie.
Mm-hmm. Well, this letter really speaks to her state of mind. Yeah. This is clearly just like a little, like if they would have had phones, she probably would have just called her up real quick and been like, I'm just in a bad mood. That's kind of where this letter was.
Yeah, we get the mention of the Dexy again, Dexedrine, which of course, every time she mentions a medicine, I think we had the mention of sulfa earlier. Talk to your doctor. None of this is to be construed as medical advice. These are highly regulated things these days. But the Dexedrine was being used by women at the time, especially for dieting, because mostly it was to keep them calm. It was something to smooth out emotions and things like that. And people associated that with dieting back then because it was like energy and activity going towards something else. They just kind of were taking that. She does turn to it a little bit here. She talks about the Dexedrine. But we have one last piece of correspondence for today's episode. And that is coming in 4 days later. And in this one, she is writing once again to Jeanne.
December 6th, 1949. Dear Jeanne, I received your 3 letters at noon today and was just floored to hear about Mama. If there'd be any way I could be sure you'd gone home and knew any more, I'd call you now to find out what more you could tell me. If I weren't worried about Mama, I'd be sore at you for not writing me about this as soon as you got home from Indiana. Don't take me too seriously on that, as I know you didn't know what it was. She told you as soon as the blood appeared, is that right? How much later was it that Papa examined her? Did he tell you what he thought it was? Didn't they tell you what Dr. Kleinberg and Dr. Wirtz said? What kind of an operation? I can't help but feel that I must just lock the door and head for the train. This is just the sort of thing I've been so worried about. We all were so scared about Papa. We've ridden hard on him about not doing so much. And we've said, too, that to keep him from doing too much, Mama was doing more than she should. I felt, too, that Papa was not quite concerned enough about her. I don't blame Papa, that's foolish, but a little more care all the way around wouldn't have hurt a bit. I keep telling myself that since she's a nurse, she'd not be so foolish as to let something like that go on for long without telling someone, for she realizes the consequences. I keep telling myself, too, that almost the same thing happened before and after we'd all been shaken till our teeth rattled. It turned out pretty well. Could this be a renewal of that tumor? If in taking it out, they didn't get it all, then would it grow again? Or could it be another? I realize it can easily be cancer, and whatever it is, I'm not too dumb to see that there undoubtedly will have to be an operation of some kind. And so now what? Will it be done in Des Moines or Iowa City? Will she stay at your house to recuperate? Shall I come to take care of her? Do you know when it will be? I do not want to stay here if they need me to take care of her, and for God's sake don't let her go to the hospital without letting me know. I do appreciate your writing me about it, and as your letter said, you'd write me all you know. I shall depend on that to keep me informed. If it is something that is serious, anything is serious. But I mean if the doctors are disturbed, or if it is going to be a real tough haul, maybe I'd better come now to be on hand. Why didn't she write me about it, or did she make you promise not to tell? Shall I write her that you told me? Is there anything I can do from here? Is there something she needs? I guess I'll get her some material and make her a new housecoat. I've been so sorry I didn't get it made for her long ago. The lady across the way is going to drive in town to get her husband from work, so I'll ask her to take this and mail it. You said no Christmas presents. Is that none at all, or none for adults, gifts to the kids? Believe me, I can't afford it either way. But if it means gifts to the nieces and nephews, I want to send my share. Please answer this as soon as possible. Will you, please? And keep me up to date on Mama. You seem to take the brunt of all the crises, and I'm grateful for you and all you do. Love, Sweetie, Lou, and Louis. If you want to call me, call Mrs. Rieselman, Hatboro, 97J2, person to person, so she can come after me, and I'll pay her for the call.
So there's a medical emergency going on with Laura.
Yep. Yeah, and Sweetie doesn't know what's happening, and all she wants to do, she was already lonesome. Now she's like, yo, if I gotta get there, I'll jump on the next train to Iowa, and then unknown. And I wanted to just let that whole letter play because it's all of Sweetie's thoughts all at the same time, and everybody's, I'm sure, following along with this. It could really be anything. Laura was born in 1886. She's now in her 60s, and there's a whole host of things this could be. And, you know, it's interesting because her husband's a doctor. She's a nurse. And even Sweetie says she wouldn't have just let something go. You know, she knows better. But that's the human thing, is like sometimes you just don't want to have to deal with things, and maybe it gets to a certain point. And it sounds like something got to a certain point, at which point now there's some sort of crisis. And the only one on hand that's really going to get the first piece of information, that's going to be Jeanne. And so Sweetie's going to rely on Jeanne. We're going to leave this episode with that note. We don't know yet what's happening with Laura. We're going to hopefully get an update in the next episode of the Love Sweetie podcast. But definitely a tough time, holiday season, for such a thing to be going on. And sometimes that just happens that way. So if you want to find out what happened to Laura, listen to next week's episode of the Love Sweetie podcast. But we're going to leave it there on that cliffhanger. As Sweetie says, lock the door and head for the train.